The NCAA outdoor meet is coming, and that means we're going to crown a brand new national champion in just a couple of weeks. The men of Florida won it all in 2023, which shouldn't be a surprise when you consider that it was their 6th championship in the last 11 years. But if you actually pay attention to the SEC, that was not supposed to happen, because they didn't even land inside the top 5 for the 2023 SEC conference meet. So in 2024, when I noticed that they finished inside the top 5, I knew they were getting ready for another national title run. But somebody please tell me another college sport where a team can finish that badly in their conference and legitimately contend for a national title. It only happens in track and field because of the way we find our national champion. And if you ask me, the system is entirely broken. But track and field actually is a team sport at every single conference championship meet in Division 1. We just changed the rules on how we find the champion when we get to the NCAAs. And if you don't believe me, just consider, no matter how fast an athlete actually is, they're wearing a team uniform. And they hand out a team championship trophy as a result at the end of the meet. It's actually how a college coach competes to keep their job. But since nobody actually cares that much about who actually had the best team, I took it upon myself to go and rank them all. Every single team in Division 1. Believe it or not, we have everything that we would ever need to answer that question, which is why I created a net rating system for college track and field. And it's kind of like what they do with RPI in basketball. It's just the way that they rate teams based off of who did you play and who did you beat, regardless of what conference you're in. And in college track and field, we don't just have conferences. We also have 9 regions across the country, and we already rank every single team in those regions. We just don't actually use those rankings for anything. Literally, they qualify you for nothing. So it's really not that hard to figure out who has the best team if you ask the right questions. And I could tell you how I do it. You take conference, regional, and national ranking indexes, and you mix it together with a whole bunch of math and even some professional judgment. But I'm sure you really don't care about that, so I won't bore you. So here is a breakdown of the top track and field teams on the men's side across all of Division 1 if we actually cared who had the best team, from top to bottom. These are the teams that you do not want to see one-on-one in a dual meet. And you can even check out the full ranking list for the more than 300 Division 1 men's teams on my website, SCArecruiting.com, or just use the link in the description below. But if you're new here, I have to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, the founder of SCArecruiting.com, where I rank the best high school track and field recruits in the entire nation. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comments section, because I try to read them all. I don't have time to break down all the crazy things that using a net rating system actually points out. I could tell you that the SEC is clearly the best conference in all of D1, but Missouri is clearly the worst team inside that conference, and it's really not close. Or that the ACC literally didn't have one men's team crack the top 15, which means they are clearly the most overrated conference, but I guess I just did. Instead, I'm gonna focus on the teams that actually did make the top 25, because when you're ranking teams in the NCAA, that's about all that really matters anyway. The Power 5 conferences are expected to dominate in just about every sport, and track and field is no different. But when you look at the top 25, the first thing that I noticed is only one Big Ten team made it in the top 25. And the Pac-12 is about to be dead anyway, but for now they have 2 teams in the top 25. The ACC did have 3 teams, but like I said, none of them are in the top 15, which is why the Big 12 is better, because they had 3 teams also, but some of them did make the top 15. And of course that leaves the SEC as the best conference in the nation, because they had 6 teams inside the top 25. That's more than 20%. So the only other teams to make the top 25 from a conference I didn't just mention are as follows. Princeton and Harvard from the Ivy League went 25th and 12th in the nation, which actually makes sense because they ran away from everybody else in their conference in order to do it. And Army out of the Patriot League actually came in at number 23. But that is only surprising when you don't remember who their rival is and how good they actually are. Spoiler alert. High Point, Air Force, UConn, and South Florida were all ranked between 21 and 11. They won their conferences in meets that were never really that close. So regardless of whether you know much about their track and field programs, you do not want to see them one-on-one in a dual meet. Which brings me now to the top 10, where Nebraska, coming in at number 10 exactly, is the only Big Ten team on the list with all their top performers in the field events. And LSU comes in at number 9, behind the fastest 4x1 in the entire nation. But Northern Arizona University from the Big Sky Conference comes in at number 8. They're arguably the best distance program in the nation. But this ranking is proof that they're good at just about everything else. But the biggest surprise of the top 10 has to be Navy out of the Patriot League, coming in at number 7. I told you that they were not just Army's rival, so their team is not just good enough to beat Army, they're also good enough to beat almost anybody else. Yet Alabama from the SEC would likely still beat them. They come in at number 6 behind athletes like Tarsus Oregot in the sprints. And among the top 5 is the best of the best. The Texas Longhorns are number 5, and they won the Big 12 Conference in a meet that is technically an upset. But they're moving to the SEC, so they're now going to have to put up with them as well. But the next 3 teams are already from the SEC, and actually finished in this order when they were at that conference meet, with Florida coming in at number 4, Texas A&M at number 3, and Arkansas at number 2. And to show you just how good the Razorbacks are, their 4x4 would have won the World Relays, not just be the fastest in the NCAA. But Texas Tech out of the Big 12 is team number 1. And it's not that surprising when you realize they won the NCAA title indoors this past year anyway. But remember, these rankings are actually based on who did you play and who did you beat. And as far as the outdoor season is concerned, Texas Tech didn't really have that strong competition out in the mountain region. So I admit it's a little unfair, but you're still gonna have a big problem on your hands, no matter who you are in the nation, if you go one-on-one with the Red Raiders. So if you really want to be the best, then you're gonna have to beat the best. And winning is actually pretty simple. It's also just very hard to pull off. Your team has to figure out how to recruit a bunch of talented athletes, and then get them to go out there and be talented all at the same time to score points. But all of these teams have figured that out better than just about anyone else in the NCAA. And if you don't believe me, just schedule any single one of them one-on-one in a duel. Remember to check the full ranking list on SCArecruiting.com or use the link in the description below, because if you are a recruit, then you deserve to know who actually has the best team, because the name on the front of a uniform won't win you a championship, but the athletes who are inside of it and the way that they perform definitely does. SCA track and field gear is here. Fast is a lifestyle, and what you wear should reflect that. Order yours at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.